Another day has begun and you are still wondering about microservices and how to implement them in Spring? Good for you, because you picked the right video to find out about it. This video aims at providing you with a good overview over Spring Microservices, but without the technical coding part. I do have another video that shows the coding part in more detail, but let's first check what we need to know about Spring Microservices. Welcome to Do Some Dev. My name is Gene. Before we dive into the world of microservices, I'd like to ask, do you have any experience with microservices? Let me know in the comments below. Today we're going to explore what microservices are, why they are important, and how to differ from traditional monolithic applications. So let's talk about microservices and why they are important. The definition is pretty straightforward, as the name already suggests it. A microservice is a small, independent service that performs a specific function within a larger application. Each microservice is a separate unit, focusing on a single task. It can be developed, deployed, and scaled independently. Microservices communicate with each other through APIs, thus minimizing dependencies. This also brings the advantage that if one microservice fails, the entire application doesn't necessarily crash. Let's enlarge this definition a bit to microservice architecture. Microservice architecture is a software development approach where a large application is broken down into smaller independent services. And each individual service within this architecture is a microservice. This stands in contrast to the monolithic applications, where we speak about a single self-contained unit that includes all components of an application, be it for the user interface, the application logic, or for its database access. Let's see the key differences between microservices and monolithic applications. Regarding deployment, in a monolithic application, the entire application must be deployed and updated as a single unit. In a microservices architecture, each service can be deployed and updated independently. The point of scalability is also very worth mentioning. In a monolithic application, the entire application must be scaled to meet demand. In a microservices architecture, individual services can be scaled independently. Regarding resilience, monolithic applications can be less resilient to failure, because if one component fails, the entire application can be affected. Microservices are more resilient, because if one service fails, the others can continue to function. Regarding the choice of technology, monolithic applications are often built using a single technology stack. Microservices, on the other hand, can be built using different technologies, which can make them a lot more flexible. I believe the advantages of the microservices architecture have already become quite clear. Have they? Let's take a quick poll. Which benefit of microservices do you find most compelling? Independent deployment, scalability, resilience, or technology flexibility? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Take an e-commerce application, for example, which might be broken down into microservices, having a product catalog service, an order processing service, a payment processing service, and a shipping service. Each of these services are independent. Well, they are applications by themselves, but serving a single purpose, while being able to do that independently. The resulting application, let's call it the big application that users will eventually use, is the collection of all these applications working together. To sum up, monolithic applications have been the traditional approach for many years. Now, microservices are becoming increasingly popular as organizations look for ways to build and maintain large-scale applications more efficiently. Okay, now we know about the differences between the microservices and the monolithic applications. Let's take a closer look at Spring Microservices. The description of Spring Microservices is quite straightforward. Microservices are a modern approach to software, whereby application code is delivered in small, manageable pieces, independent of others. Also currently mentioned on the Spring website about microservices are several ways to build them up, where Spring Boot is called the de facto standard for Java microservices, enabling to quick start a microservice project using a pre-configured environment generated with a tool called Spring Initializer. Yep, not a typo. Spring Initializer with a Z directly followed by an R. Spring Cloud is offered to help with topics like service discovery, load balancing, circuit breaking, distributed tracing, and monitoring. Also, Spring Cloud Stream is mentioned, offering to connect the microservices with real-time messaging for building highly scalable, event-driven systems. Another way to build up microservices could certainly be Docker containers. Those present a lightweight portable virtualization technology for packaging and running applications, meaning that a microservice built with Spring Boot can be installed and run within a mini Linux environment that runs within a Docker container. And this Docker container, or better, the collection of Docker containers, can then be configured to only enable access to certain ports to the world outside of them. A bit of what you might already know what a firewall does. The containers can also be configured to communicate over kind of a private little network between them. So they are indeed quite convenient. But that's just to give ideas of how such a microservices environment can be built up. There are many ways to achieve the same thing. It eventually comes down to choosing the right components and technologies for the case you are exposed to. That's the beauty in IT in general. We have such an inexhaustible set of choices wherever we go. To really understand Spring Microservices, we should dive into an actual code example, especially also because we want to know how to create this incredible GUI that will communicate with all the microservices. For this, I've uploaded this video here. So go there, check it out. See you in a minute. I will quickly get a cup of tea.